Sir, can I ask a question?
Mainly in the off-peak hour.
Sir, I have one question, sir. I'm Hemant Singh. Sir, everyone is blaming NTPC, long-term PPAs, but what about the draft CAG report, which was reported in the newspapers? So if this becomes final report, then what happens? Then why the consumers will have to pay the price?
I'm glad you asked that question. May I request Mr. Talwar to throw some light on this draft CAG report?
Did you say daft or draft? Kya bola?
No, I would not
that?
like to comment upon it because it is sub judice. The fact of the matter is that as a distribution utility, I'm not at all going to comment on the contents or whatever is the media speculation that has come out. The fact of the matter is that we had gone to the High Court stating that CAG audit of companies cannot be done because we are a company under the Companies Act. The second part is we are already a regulated entity. There is enough prudence check, level of checking up all our accounts, etc. by the DERC. Third thing, there are government nominees on the board, audit committees are there, the board of directors are there. Having done that as much, we are governed by regulation. And if we act according to regulation, then what is the need for a CAG? But be as it may, yes. Once these media reports came out, and we have no idea where these media reports came out, we again went to the court and said that these are detrimental to the process of audit because already people are hanging us for no fault that we have committed. So the court was wise enough to stay the procedure and state that no action can be taken on the draft audit report. There is a process that has to be complied with. So please do not read anything into the draft audit report.
Yeah, Harry,
So one more clarification.
I want to make a point in...
1 minute, let him finish. Yeah.
Sorry.
Somebody was saying something?
Yeah, I think as far as this CAG report is concerned, I have seen something in newspapers and all, but I think CAG is also a regulator. They are the regulator for the accounts. And most of the comments are in the domain of the electricity regulator. So I think that is a conflict which is coming there.
Absolutely. I mean, then
they are pointing out
you are undermining the
problems.
regulator.
They are pointing out the objections about the regulations of or the decisions of another regulator, which is the electricity regulator. That is even APTEL. They say APTEL decision is wrong, and now all those things cannot be. But one thing that has been pointed out, and which I think requires a discussion, is the difference in the calorific value of coal at the sending end and the receiving end.
It's again NTPC.
And that is, I think, increasing year by year, and the figures are mind-boggling.
So that is sub judice.
5,000 kilocalories at sending end, 3,000 receiving end, and the consumer is paying for that. Now that is something. I mean, a distribution company cannot find an answer to that. But distribution company is paying as per
a
the
lot of agencies
CERC
can
regulation.
find answers to it.
But there is a bigger question for which the government has to.
That Mahagenco had gone to the Competition Commission and obtained an order in their favor, but I don't know what is happening further in the...
It's still
Anyway,
happening.
It is pending, sir. It is pending.
I think we would like to hear the legal point of view. You have a special act, Electricity Act. Under that, the regulator has to do the audit. You have a CAG Act. CAG Act is the general, is again specific, it's not for a private district. So, which will prevail?
Just to address it very legally, the CAG is not really a regulator. It obviously is it's a constitutional watchdog, is a different issue. But it is not a regulator. However, having said that, the issue is of course very contentious, and I don't also want to address on it that whether the CAG can really audit the companies which have been privatized or private companies, because that's going to open up another Pandora's box of then where does it end. But having said so, ultimately even if there are findings to a certain extent by the CAG, it still would go back to the regulator, according to me, to look at the report and decide or determine that to what extent these findings have a merit, because ultimately it's an accounting exercise. I mean, it's a post facto, kind of a accounting post-mortem. So to what extent the findings have any merit? If they have merit, then what is the impact of that merit, and how then it has to be worked back is something which ultimately will go back to the regulator. It's not for the CAG to take a call.
Just one comment. You know, most of the distribution companies are government companies. There also regulators are there, but still CAG is auditing their accounts. They are seeing the audits and they are doing it.
In fact, what happens when the regulator gets the audited report, it comes from the CAG audit. That is a private government company, but Delhi's case is different. Delhi is a 51%.
I'm not going to that legal issue. I'm saying that even if the regulator is there, CAG has role in auditing the accounts of the
and
distribution.
But he
also
is
the-
not comment, he can't comment on judgments
You
passed
can't
by the
comment on
regulator.
that. And the other important thing is,
I
there is a letter, it has been clarified that CAG will not comment on the regulators' orders. The audit, because the CAG also audits the regulators' accounts. So that's made very clear. It's only regulators' orders cannot be questioned.
Yes, in fact, I want to share some information. In Uttar Pradesh, in respect of one of the AG audits, this was taken up with them, and they agreed that they can question the administrative expenditure and everything, but they will not question the judicial decision of the regulator.
Sir, I have one legal question, sir. Suppose tomorrow audit report, whatever comes out, it is an aspersion on the functioning of the commission also, because commission found some numbers and CAG deferred it. Can commission again, when the report comes to the commission, it is a question on the function of the commission also. So can commission be the judge for itself?
No. You can't say that commission cannot reconsider its stand or reconsider its decision. It can, but the decision of the finding of the CAG, in my opinion, would not be binding on the commission.
See, Hemant, there's a very basic principle in law that we have, which is that any benefit which has been derived through fraud, and I'm using the term fraud because you have all kinds of allegations being thrown up for Delhi, is non-est in law. So basically, if the regulator, and it is not really an aspersion on the regulator, because ultimately the regulator cannot, it is not possible for a regulator, and I had a different question about it, it is not possible for them to go and do an complete check and analytical kind of a post-mortem on the accounts that are prepared. That's the job of a auditor, and which the CAG may or may not have done correctly. If it is found that ultimately any of the distribution companies may have resorted to some kind of improper method, then obviously the regulator has that power, because the earlier order then is non-est in the eye of law. It can always incorrect. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we are then coming to the end of the session, so Mr. Giri, a short question, please.
It's a very, very precise question. Mr. Rakesh Nath raised a point about Delhi, that why can't Delhi buy more of hydropower? I have made number of presentations to the Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission, saying that the problem of Delhi, or for that matter entire India, is the rising cost of power. If we can innovate, and innovation is missing in the entire regulatory system, let me say it very strongly. If we can innovate and either stabilize or lower the cost of bulk power, problems will start disappearing gradually. And therefore, in keeping with this principle, I made an offer to Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission, and it's open to any other regulator also, that I offer you hundreds of megawatts of electricity, 600, 700, whatever you wish to be happy about, at a fixed price for 25 years.
Starting 1st of October?
No, hold on. Jokes apart, this is a very serious matter. Here is an offer that will give you bulk electricity, flexible electricity, which will remove the need for not needed purchases. You know, today any electricity system in India is buying 10 to 30% of electricity which is not needed because being forced down your system. And you are paying for it. Your financial stress is increasing. Here is an offer that you can have the electricity generated during the course of the day as per your requirement to reduce the gap between needed and not needed electricity, and the price is fixed for 25 years. You would be lowering the cost, you will be raising the efficiencies, and perhaps your aggregate purchase cost will come down. Problem is, the regulators are also regulated by the law. But there is a provision in the law that they can be innovative. They have many segments to balance, but they are not applying themselves to balance.
Point is made now. In a point is made. We don't have time.
Now, unfortunately, there is no response to it.
ठीक.
What will happen to the plants, coal plants, with which they have the land to manage?
Sorry?
They will simply discard the plant?
Yes, inefficiencies must be thrown out.
What would be the investment on recovered from the plant? Who will address that?
I think we'll have a fist fight on hydrothermal.
But
This gentleman.
Sir, my request to the entire august body of the regulators is kindly consider this innovation, and if you do that, it's simple to calculate, it will help a lot in the long run.
Point taken. Okay. Sir, you have a point or you don't have a point? Your digest. Chalo.
Excuse me, can I just...
We are not talking of the level of the price that can
Yes,
be discussed
please.
with individual
Giri Saab,
regulators.
your time is up. Chaliye.
Okay, this was about the separation of content and carriage again. And if the intent is to bring competition... We can't hear you. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. If the basic intent is to bring competition, there are two major costs that any supplier will be dealing with. I'm talking of the retailer, the content. Is the cost of supply, cost of buying the power, and the cost of serving the customer, which includes all the overheads and things. Now, if the cost of buying the supply is an average cost, like Mr. Biswal said, that is levelized. But on the other hand, if all the technology, the metering, the standards are all set for every content supplier to manage with, then where is he going to bring the differentiation? Where is the real competition going to come in? That is number one. Number two, if the wires company is going to have a fixed amount of subsidy.
Boss, I'm losing you. What is your question?
question
We don't want a
is-
long lecture. Give us a question.
The question is, there are only two areas where somebody can compete in. And we are saying we are not going to allow you any leeway as a supplier to compete in these two areas.
Point taken, already discussed, over. Now we've gone to the next subject.
Okay.
You have a last question there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Identify yourself, sir.
Sir, actually, this is not question. I am from Coal India, MS Mukherjee, General Manager Sales.
Ah, Coal
Sir,
India. Okay.
Sir, actually, I am already in the other side of the table and listening last 4 days, all the power measures and all the experts of the power companies. And when I am being the third coal producing company in the world and 62% around coal-based power plants, so actually what I have thought that when I will be coming in this forum, that I will be listening that, and I will be tired of listening that all the problem is from coal, because Coal India doesn't give coal. But now I am finding you, sir, it is not a part of complacence, that it is not only the coal. There are other problems with the power measures. And Mr. Bankar is there.
No,
sir.
but are you going to answer the question that Mr. Rakesh Nath said that
No,
what
sir,
you promised
yes,
5,000 calorie and deliver 3,000 or
Yes,
2,000?
that's why actually Mr. Bankar, with all due respect, sir, you are here from Competition Commission, which you have slapped a penalty of 1773 crore. It is already sub judice in compact. I am telling, sir, Biswal Sahab, NTPC, he was in Coal India, he must be knowing that we all already allowed third-party sampling to be engaged by the power plants in our loading point.
Maybe it is not only the coal, but mostly the coal.
Sir, I am telling it is not only the, I have the satisfaction that it is not only the coal. Okay, I don't mind.
Mr. Harry,
And
the
we have
sampling
we have
is
engaged
dependent-
third-party sampling engaged by the power plant in our loading point.
Sampling is dependent on the sample that you pick up.
Sir,
So
that's
unless you have the automatic sampler, and
Sir,
most of the places the automatic samplers are
Sir,
not
that's
working.
why
So I don't know how.
Sir, that is an epochal change. What Mr. Harry is talking of last 4 days, I am taking this is the epochal change that we have allowed third-party sampler
No, I am
engaged
seeing
by.
the epical change is that Coal India is here discussing it. That was not happening in the last 10 years.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, you know, another issue that I thought should have been in your papers dealing with the coal is, what is the effect of the Supreme Court judgment, you know, in the coal block allocation matter with regarding to the additional levy? Because, you know, I think it's definitely a question of how the regulators have to look at this. Are they looking at it as some sort of a penalty which has been imposed by the Supreme Court, which I clearly don't think is what it is, if you read the CAG report, and also what the Supreme Court says about this being merely compensatory to actually fill up the coffers of the government. And if you are passing, if the regulators decide to pass it on, then how are they actually planning to do that? So that's, you know, it's more close to home.
There is a decision not to pass it on, isn't it? Some government decision.
No, actually, it's not regarding that. The government decision is regarding the coal bidding price.
So the next conference will be on that only then. Colgate, toothpaste. Acha. Sir. Please, Mr. Bankar, you've been absolutely silent. That's very dangerous.
No, I was looking silent because it appears to be a very complex sector. And when experts are there, there is no point in making comments on a sector where you have less knowledge. But I'm very happy to see that almost every speaker used the word competition many times. And it serves the purpose. If you are aware about the competition, I think we need not go more into it at this forum. And there are issues in the sector, and I'm very happy that everybody is aware and looking into it, and hopefully that is the purpose of the competition. And you rightly mentioned that the consumer choice, you have been using this word, and consumer choice is the core and heart, the soul of the competition. If consumer has a choice, then certainly he will select the best option available, and best options available will come from the competition. And competition gives benefit to both consumer as well as the competitors, because it challenges you also to be competing with your competitor. In the morning also, the sports were discussed, cricket was discussed, everywhere competition is there. And the competition brings the efficiency, technological changes, innovation, etc. Only thing is that in this sector, there are many situations where the choices of consumers are limited. And in such situation, the fear of abusing the dominance type of thing is a very, very important. And unfortunately, the Coal India officer is here, but he is selling. But we have nothing against Coal India. It is the situation under which this kind of arrangement works, where the one-sided agreement or clauses where you restrict the choice of others, that becomes a very important thing. I don't think whether it is this forum to give any long lecture type of thing, because the time is short. But I'm really very happy, and Competition Commission will be always be there to help you if even the MERC and others have referred the cases, etc.
I observe the sampling exercise myself.
Yes. And we have a mechanism in the law to consult each other also in the law itself. So any of you during your functioning, if you feel that this issue affects the large number of consumers and it is a competition issue, you can always refer. We also have a choice to refer to you some of the issues. Thank
you, Mr. Bankar.
Harry.
It's very heartening to note that we have a competition commission who likes competition. So, and he also mentioned it's good for everybody. So it's obviously a very healthy situation. May I now call upon Mr. Balasubramaniam, Member in Finance Tariff Authority for major ports. Sir, tell us what's happening in ports and how are you regulating it? All our coal is coming from there, oil and whatever is coming from there. Tell us.
The tariff authority for major ports, we regulate only the tariff of the central government owned ports. The central government owned ports carry 55% of the total cargo, and 45% of the cargo is carried by the private ports. The main problems which the government ports face are the draft restrictions, then the infrastructure restrictions for taking out that cargo or the bringing in the cargo, and the tariff is a minor issue there. There the users are ready to pay tariff for a good quality of
But
performance.
don't you regulate that tariff to see they don't overcharge? Light rage and, you know, all the other stuff?
No, for the major ports we fix the tariff. They cannot overcharge. We also entertain any grievances from the customers. We also have a system for measuring the performance standards, and we can levy to some extent some penalties.
So this covers both private and public ports?
No, we cover only the government public ports.
But
only.
major port would be private also?
No, the definition.
The definition is under the Major Ports Act.
Ah. Private ports is not major. Though it's 45% as you rightly said, the entire trade. Sir, usko bhi regulate karo na, sir.
No, that was taken up. We proposed to act similar to the CERC Act, but all the state governments said no. This is that is not a central subject. That is in the concurrent list. Therefore, they were not willing for the.
What will happen to ports in Gujarat?
You don't have to say it.
They are not there.
I know this, sir.
No, they can also have a state regulator, like you said.
That we proposed that the state government said no. We want to deregulate. Even the center is also thinking of deregulating the port charges.
Correct.
As far as the port infrastructure facility is concerned, now now bigger and bigger ships are coming. They require more depth, and that transloading operations are taking place in the mid-sea, and through the daughter vessels, the cargo is shifted. The other road and rail is also a problem. The government is giving.
How effective are the evacuation of the road linkage, the rail and road?
Yes, evacuation is still a problem there. Now the government has formed
But your
a separate.
scope stops at the port border. You can't get involved in the linkage issues.
No, only within the port limit, whatever services are rendered, we can look into
And
it.
in the sea, your transshipment is your area.
Transshipment
But
is
how many kilometers in the sea is your jurisdiction of every port? 10 kilometers, 20
no,
kilometers?
12 nautical miles is the normal.
12 nautical miles.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
And the government has formed one Indian port railway company, which is an SPV. The ports, all the ports will contribute money, and they will take responsibility for laying the railway lines for evacuation of this one. And government is also giving emphasis for the coastal movement of the products, and a concession of 40% is available for movement of
The
cargo
major
through
ports is only along the sea or also along the river?
No, along the
sea.
river it is the inland waterways.
That's inland waterways. Okay, you have nothing to do with that?
Yes, we have nothing to do.
Major or minor?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Any other, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Any other points anyone has? Quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Lunch. Okay. I think Mr. Saxena has his heart and mind in the right place in his stomach. So on that happy note, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's been a reasonably nice discussion. I've learned 3-4 lessons. First is no regulators master class on the last day. It has to be before, so no one runs away on the flight. That's the first lesson. Okay. And the second one is we'll be very. It should be for a full day, a master class. My God, there'll be fights at the end of it between hydro, thermal, and then generator, discom. We'll have to have riot police outside. But anyway, on that happy note, ladies and gentlemen, I come to the end of this event, this conference. I want to thank these regulators for being here, for sharing their experiences. Some of them are still in service, some of them have already done their service and are a little more relaxed. But their knowledge, as I always mention, the knowledge bank is something very, very precious. To me, it's irrelevant whether you are a regulator currently in service or you have retired technically, but you have never retired, because once you learn to regulate, the knowledge is always there. We are we have a very selfish organization. We want your knowledge and we want your participation. So we are Besharam in saying so. We are an NGO, but we just revere the knowledge that you have, because that is something which is absolutely priceless. And it is important for this country, for the nation, for the sector, to have that knowledge to take intelligent decisions. Otherwise, you'll have these kind of disconnects coming as new people come in. Another comment I wanted to make was on this business of democracy. There's a lot of discussion on democracy. As you can see, listening to the regulators and listening to various overlaps, CAG and the regulators and the different situations, and then the ports are, major ports are only government ports, the definitions, state governments won't accept this, central government wants this, tariff policy, cross-subsidy, do we want open access, competition, I can go on and on. What you find is the diversity, and of course for a person who wants order, confusion. But to my mind, our diversity as a nation is our greatest strength, and diversity of course is our greatest disadvantage also. Because in a democracy, everybody is equal, right? So everybody has to be listened to. And only the majority gets away with it, right? But then don't forget, when you have a majority, unlike the Japanese consensus system, if there are 10 people, 7 people vote for something, the 3 people who still don't agree will not work with you. They will work either against you or will at least stand by. So they will be excluded from that. So that is something which we need to look at. Our diversity, our values as a country are fantastic. We're very proud. At least I'm very excited. Somebody keeps asking me, why do you live in India? You should live abroad. I said, I'll get completely bored and die within 6 months of boredom. There's so much excitement happening here, so much optimism, and I'm very, very optimistic about the power sector and the way it's going forward. I think all these problems that have come up, if you can call them problems, are not problems, they're opportunities and challenges. And let's look upon them, apply our best mind, and thank you ladies so much, gentlemen so much for being here. I'm very grateful from the point of view of IPPI, from the organizers that you're here. And we want to have much more interaction with you. Sakya, you want to do something else?
No, I said the challenge is for the regulator, the opportunities for the lawyers.
But they're supermen. At least he's an honest lawyer, rare commodity. Thank you so much, and I call this conference to an end. Thank you.